Welcome to Lunchtime Coaching with me, Kevin Britz, and Liezl Reid, who's joining us today, all the way from Cape Town. Liezl is the founder of Shapeshifter Consulting and has a wonderful, curious brain about so many things, and that's why we're chatting to you again. Liezl, please introduce yourself and tell people what you do.
Thank you, Kevin. So, like you said, I'm Liezl Reid, and I'm the founder of Shapeshifter Consulting, where I provide predominantly coaching services and also some HR advisory services. And yeah, I kind of work in the space of creative leadership and trying to find out-of-the-box sort of solutions for my clients. So I know that HR can be generic, and I think the time has come to really get out of those generic boxes. And yeah, that's a very small nutshell.
I'm so glad that you're mentioning HR, because I think it's one of the conversations we had last time. Just to touch on that, I think a lot of HRs are sort of finding it really difficult at the moment, because everything about how they measure performance and everything about how people are having to work at home is changing.
Yep.
How do you experience that, and give us some insight from your point of view on that?
So I've actually been attending a few webinars just to get some case studies going, and also learning from my own clients that I'm helping at the moment. I mean, lots of the policies that were put in place before the COVID are perfect, but they're kind of becoming a little already outdated. So you already have to bring in that creativity and trying to find solutions that work for the climate that we are in now. I mean, there's really no manual that you can go to that says, okay, when a pandemic hits, this is what we do. When we have to all work from home, these are the policies that we really have to put in place. And it's been such a great experience to see how HR professionals and expertise came together, and they started to collaborate with one another. And I mean, you've got labor lawyers giving advice in terms of what do we have to do from the labor law side? How do we still deal with disciplinary? How do we deal with poor performance? How do we deal with recruitment? How are we going to actually still onboard clients or employees that join the company and still let them feel the culture? What is the culture now that we're not all in one space? How's that different? There's a lot of questions, and the answers are still emerging. The answers are really still emerging. So that's what I've been witnessing. So it's time for creativity and innovation.
And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And to discuss the role of importance for innovation for business owners and leaders today, and to find possibilities and opportunities that have emerged from what we're going through. Tell us more on how creative leadership and all of that kind of thinking relates to and what people should start becoming aware of.
So the thing is that obviously what we are completely aware of is things have changed dramatically, and we already seeing that the normality or the normal vibes that we are going to go to is not going to be the same vibes from before. So what does it actually mean for your business? If I actually have to use my own business as an example, I used to go and have coffee dates, and I used to do workshops standing in front of actual real people. And I could feel the energy. I could really be on the spot and engaging. And, you know, with this whole switching over to the virtual space, it's quite a challenge sometimes. But in a way, it's given me opportunities that I never knew would exist. So when you're faced with this challenge or having to adapt, what are the opportunities that actually emerge? And that's where the creativity has to come in a little bit. Yes, because we are dealing with lack of control in certain aspects, but there's always stuff that we can still control. But what are they, and how does that change our business model, our service offering? How does it change the way that we are actually engaging with our clients? And what of this are we going to continue doing going forward? So it's interesting how it's actually almost forcing us to relook at our structures and how we put up our businesses and how we, as business owners, what is it that our clients need now? And how is that different from before? So yeah, it's about adding value and finding strategic, almost like innovative practices for our clients to really still continue with adding value to their businesses at the end of the day. So that's where creative leadership for me comes in. A big aspect of creative leadership is the collaboration part of it. So where you actually, combine expertise and you formulate some product or service that is just so great, because if you put, what is it saying? If you put a few more heads together, it's better than one head, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's actually where we're heading towards. And I've already started adapting it in my business. Yeah. And it's amazing the products and the outcome that comes from it at the end of the day. We are not in our silos anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I think a lot of people are feeling a similar thing to that, where they're not functioning individually, and connecting now has become even more important than it has, in the past, because we're in lockdown. I think that each individual, each business owner wants to be able to go, okay, I need to start rethinking and thinking differently about everything that I've ever done. Because if we don't take that approach, it's just going to become a nice debilitating moment for us. What I also chatted to one of the coaches with about the other day was how we also relate our identity to our usual behavior and our usual way of thinking and working through situations. And I think that's also, why the creative thinking, it becomes such a beautiful way of doing it, because you really have to start using parts of your brain and considering things from a different angle. And one of the frames that you use is the reframing, and how to do that. So tell us, why did you become interested in working with the creativity space, and how using creative principles and design thinking informs what it is you do today?
So as a hobby, I've always been, I think, creatively more inclined to that. I like art, I like designing, I like interior designing things as a hobby and things. So when I had the opportunity to do a thesis in my MPhil with management coaching at the University of Stellenbosch Business School, I had to do a thesis where I realized that there is actually a space for me to really play in the creative space finally in a more professional way, not just as a hobby. And I really dived into this area of creative thinking, and it led me to Edward de Bono's lateral thinking, and then it ended up becoming a project about divergent thinking, is where we're looking at possibilities. We've had this conversation before about divergent thinking. You've been on a few of my you've been on my think shop. So it's a skill that's really now become quite relevant, especially now with trying to find out alternatives and possibilities to what is there, to uncover opportunities. But the tool reframing, I actually found a nicer, like a cooler word or way of seeing it. I reframed the tool reframing, and I'm calling it creative destruction. So where you're actually creatively destructing, like, your thinking, and you're creatively trying to find alternative, out-of-the-box solutions that was before the time was completely wacky. I mean, where would we have spoken, although we knew that the world of working is changing and that the world of freelancers are really, booming, and that whole Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 concept of the workplace was already becoming outdated, but it was kind of still being practiced. And now we're in the stage where it doesn't really exist as well as it did before. So it's completely destructing. And where is it taking us? So at the end of the day, it's going, okay, great. How do I keep up my productivity? How do I keep up my performance management system in place as a business owner? And still giving people, or giving them the sense of freedom, if you could say it's freedom, to continue working from home and to continue having almost that work-life balance that was severely lacking at some point. So my thesis kind of last year really introduced me from on a professional level and academical level to the creative space. And it allowed me to really get to grips with what are the theories in creative thinking? How does this actually apply in my work? And my work was in terms of coaching and consulting. And then at the end of the day, I translated that into a service offering for my clients to really think. Yeah, to really think.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So I know that today's lunchtime coaching, and the aim of having these afternoon sessions with coaches like yourself is really to add value, and to really have people take a coffee break like I'm taking now, to just have something to watch and learn and ponder about. So if you share with us, I know you've sent me some information, but if you could share with us the JP Guilford test. I think you spoke about that, and maybe a practical tip that maybe run us through a 5-minute steps of what we could do practically to take away from today's session.
So JP Guilford was actually the father of divergent thinking. He coined it quite long ago, in the 1950s. Not sure if you remember those times.
No.
I surely don't remember those times. No, that was a horrible joke, but it's a joke. That's my dark humor coming into play. So basically, he was really looking at the thought process that goes into looking at various possibilities, options, how to train your brain to start really tap into the creative aspect. He is one of the believers that, and many scholars from there on, we believe that everybody is creative at some level, but the level of the degree of level of creativity is what differs. But it's something you can practice. So this alternative uses test is something that he did, and it's one of the first. It's almost like divergent thinking 101. And I often use it to wake people up and to get them to go into the creative space. And then we do the real work after that. So it's something, if you do it every day, it actually gets easier. So it's a practice, and I actually could maybe urge the listeners to really do this. We're not going to sit and stare at each other for 2 minutes now, but I mean, after the session, take something, for example, we can maybe do that. We can actually, just before we close off, I show a object, and then they can actually try it off as they log off. So basically what it is it's a test where you show an object. I'm going to now use a pencil. You show the pencil, you start a timer for 2 minutes, and then you have to look, in that 2 minutes, you have to look as many uses for this pencil that you can find. So it could be something you write with. It could be a phone stand if you have to maybe lean a phone against it or something like that. It could be something to poke a hole through if you have to poke a hole through something. It could be
the dustbin or something, you could dig in the dustbin. It could be
Exactly. It could maybe help you to retrieve something that fell in between your wooden floorboards. If you've got wooden floorboards and there's a little, so this is what you're trying to think. So you're really focusing that 2 minutes before the timer goes off. You basically come up with as many uses as possible for a mundane object. And then when the timer goes off, this is why you kind of just want to look, you count how many you've got. So often people get between 5 and 10 for the first time. And it's also that time pressure. So as you see the time clicking off, and in my think shop, I actually make it really pressurized. I was like, okay, 30 seconds left, 20 seconds left, 10 seconds left. I build the pressure. And then you'll see it gets really tough to start thinking, oh, what else? And the more you practice that, the easier it gets to really not see the object anymore. You look, you see a pencil, but what else do I see and how quick can I see it? So it's almost like a muscle that you're training. And that, to me, I sometimes do it with my clients on my coaching sessions when I see it, and when they keep saying to me, oh, I don't know, I'm struggling to think, I can't exactly picture it. Then I quickly say, okay, let's quickly do a creative exercise just to, get the cogwheel spinning and get the cobwebs off. And then I do this. And I can tell you now, more often than not, afterwards, the options and the reframing tools and tools that really come together and can be combined afterwards really works much better, because you're putting that other mindset, the creative mindset. You're almost like you're switching on the engine. So that is, for me, the tool that I really would have loved to share today. Just because it's simple, anyone can do it for any purpose. It's not just always coaching or consulting.
So I wanna ask the question. I'm a business owner, and I come to you and I'm stuck, and I go, okay, well, I don't know what to do from. How do I use this technique that you've just shown me? How do I use it practically as a business owner, for example? How do we relate? Because my brain's going, okay, cool, that's a pencil, but how do I relate that to an actual business? Yeah. How would you share that?
So if you have to look at what is the option or the object that you're getting stuck on, is it your product? Is it your service? Is it your operations? Then you can unpack already what of it is causing you stuck. Let's say I'm getting stuck on my clientele are actually really not interested in my product anymore. Okay, cool. So let's quickly look at your product. If you could redesign it again, 2 minutes now, quick, redesign your product. And you could, money is no option, nothing. What is going to come out of that 2 minutes? Then you go back to that list and you go, okay, is this viable? Is this something you want to think about? Is there something that's sparked for you? Is there some insight here? Then we can even go and say, okay, think about your clients for 2 minutes. Okay, who's your client? What do they do? What are they thinking? Almost like you're doing an empathy map. So who are they? What are they doing? What are they thinking? What do they need? Try and see if you can list that in 2 minutes and see what comes out. And at the end of the day, see where almost like the emergence, what emerges from that process. So it's actually anything. It could be an object. Okay, the true test was the object. But if you have to really apply it into a business setting, look at what is the object that's making you feel stuck, and then force yourself.
And as you're speaking, what I'm also realizing about using this type of method, it really gets you to unpack your brain, and you could really do this, in a relationship format, around your sales team, around an actual object, a product, around a decision that you really need to be making in this time. It's a fantastic way of thinking. And, from my perspective, I'm always looking at, well, how are you putting your brain language together? And, I often find with clients that they get to that stuck point, and it's really about your reticular activation system. So your RAS is going, okay, I'm there, and you are so caught up in what it is you're focused on that you literally, you almost get uncomfortable. It's like, I just don't know what else to think. You just can't get it. But like you say, it really is that practice and that muscle that really needs to be re-looked at and I don't know, it should become like a daily thing that you go, okay, cool, how can I relate this, and how can I use this as a practical tool to really start teaching myself to see more than what I currently see. The more I can see, the more it gives my brain capacity to go there and to find more options.
And the thing is that it's amazing how it can be applied kind of anywhere, really. Like, I was having an amazing conversation with a colleague of mine yesterday about freelancing. So how the world of freelancing is opening up. I think both of me and you have got our own businesses, and we do freelance services and things, but more people are going to start jumping on that bandwagon because there's retrenchments happening. There are opportunities out there that need to be tapped. But what are these opportunities? So if you want to become a freelancer, or you're forced to become a freelancer, what does your service offering look like? Can you quickly think about that? What is it that you think the world needs? Can we quickly have a powerful, it's almost like brainstorming on steroids, if you think about it. But you really focus on that 2 minutes and see what comes up, because that is almost the focus area to really just ignite. almost like a foundational ignition of creativity to lead you somewhere else. And then you can bring in all the other tools, like you said, the relationship mapping. Then we can actually continue the conversation. But it's just to try and get you out of that almost like an unstuckness, to broaden your perspective. When you broaden your perspective, then what else are you seeing that's come into the picture?
So definitely recommended as a wonderful technique to be using with yourself, so you can practice that muscle, but also a technique that you can implement with your team. Maybe it's a Monday morning hash, and you kind of going, okay, guys, this is the thing, this is the problem, let's go and work it out. Let's all add, because suddenly everything I wasn't thinking of, you might be thinking of, and I'm going, oh my goodness, I don't even think of that. You know, so it's a beautiful, it's something as a practical, useful tool that could be used in any kind of format. I love this. This is amazing.
And then that's where you connect the creative leadership components in, is where we are then eventually we come back with a collaboration of all our thoughts and all our ideas and see what's come out on the other side of the sausage machine, if you can say that. So, and you know, and it's fun, it's innovative, it creates a little bit of camaraderie, I think. I do it often in my think shops. I did it in my workshops as well. I started off with that is it, and then I close it off with another object. But then I basically just say, okay, ready, go. And more often than not, almost 90% of the people on the call or in the space that I was having the workshop all had higher numbers the second time around, because they kind of got the gist of it and they realized they were having fun with it. And then that time, building that time pressure it's awesome. It's actually quite fun sometimes. And it's so simple. It's really so simple, but it's simplicity that leads to trying to solve really complex things at the end of the day. It just makes it a bit more tangible, I think, at the end of the day. That's just my opinion.
we could carry on, and I know we both have passion for it. We could just talk all day. Tell people, I mean, ideally it's great if people did this on their own, but if they needed someone to guide them through a process and say, hey, Liezl, please come work with our team for the day or whatever, where can people get hold of you? What's the easiest to do that?
So I've got my own website, www.shapeshifter.co.za, but I am on Facebook. I've got a page there, and I've got an Instagram page too. So I'm quite accessible, but other than that, my number and my email is on the website, and they can WhatsApp me. I'm quite easy to reach other than that. And yeah, I'd like to chat to people, because at the end of the day, I see myself as almost like a boutique coach with this creative way of working to spark innovation and some thinking. So it's, at the end of the day, it's also a collaboration between me and the client, what it is that the client needs, and bringing into tools and methods that works for them. So yeah, I love to have conversations with anybody, and you know, it's amazing where this creative space and the tools that is so relevant right now. So if you are finding yourself stuck, if you do need some team building or anything like that, yeah, I'm happy to chat. Yeah.
Thank you, Liezl. Thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Coaching today. And this will go out. All your information will be in the description box below. And it will be on the Business by Design SA YouTube channel, Instagram, and everywhere on my social media, so everyone can check it out. There are more videos, so if you want to see all the lunchtime coaching videos, there are more videos there, and also on my website. And I'm going to leave you with just a nice little quote that says, hate nothing and no one, no matter how much they have wronged you. You give energy to what you focus on. So take that away for today, guys. And Liezl, thank you so much, and we will chat to you soon.
Before you disappear, I'm going to show the object just before you're going to log off, but I'm going to show the object.
Yeah.
So everyone get your timers. Your phone has got a timer on, or if you've got a timer or stopwatch somewhere,
all right, get
your timer on 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I am going to show, and then you can log off. So I'm going to say bye-bye first. Thank you so much, Kevin. I absolutely love talking to you, and I'm happy to be back. And
Awesome.
yeah, let's keep the conversation going. Time is on. This is a coaster. A coaster.
Okay.
Glass.
Going.
And off you go. And off you go. Think away for 2 minutes.
Chat
All
to you
right.
soon. Ciao, bye.
Okay, bye.